Welcome back to Concerning Cremlings, a podcast where we dive deep into Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere and beyond. Join us as we read through the Cosmere in a year in publication order.
In this week's episode, we will be discussing Mistborn Era 1, The Well of Ascension. This episode will have spoilers for other books within the Cosmere, but we will put timestamps for those sections so that you can avoid them if you want.
We
Yep.
didn't we didn't say our names.
Oh, oh, true. I'm Esther, obviously.
Was I supposed to say? Sorry.
Okay. I'm Jonas.
I'm Simon.
I'm Elliot.
I already said my name, so I was gonna say it again. Esther.
You're not gonna repeat it.
I mean, they can see it on the screen too, if they're
What if they're listening? Because I mean we're not on Spotify yet.
actually we're not even on Spotify.
Yeah.
Someone needs to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been meaning to figure that out for a long time. Were you
How do
guys
you post on Spotify?
You have to create like
An
a
artist.
Creators account?
creator account. I don't really know what to do beside that, but yeah.
Yeah. Or they might like sometimes I put on YouTube videos and I listen to them. Like I like go off and do
Yeah,
something
that's
else.
fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I guess you just get extra knowledge if you're watching. You get our names.
Very true.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously, Well of Ascension, second book, in the Mistborn saga. What did we all think? Like you can give we can do ratings and like just general thoughts.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Uh, just to break the ice, I guess. I like this book more than the first book. I think it's very strong. I love I like everything about it pretty much, except for probably one character that we probably all don't like very much, but
Oh, who?
Vin.
Zane.
Zane.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured. Yeah.
Can we all say
Sorry,
Zane
I
at the
just had to
same
hear
Yeah.
that.
time?
Uh, but no, so my first time I read this book, it almost blew my mind in a way. I read the first one, I was like, okay, that's fine. But then I
Mhm.
started the second one, and it just like sucked me in. This is the book that really sold me on Mistborn, not
Okay.
only as like a trilogy, but as a full series, like the full like 9 book whatever he was planning on doing.
Yeah.
It just got me really excited to learn more about Scadrial and the characters, and I just think it's really excellent. And I'd give it 4 to 5.
Nice. Okay.
I'll go
Yeah.
second for the first time in forever and ever. Um, when I read it, I rated it 3.5 stars, so the same as the first one. I think it's largely, I don't know, the same. I think it has some of the same problems, a lot of the same strengths. I think it's a good middle book though.
Hmm.
And yeah.
I think, yeah, I think you're right. I feel like it's a good middle book. It's not meant to conclude everything.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Feels like The Empire Strikes Back in many ways.
Actually, I do have a
That
problem with it.
I like The Empire Strikes Back.
No, that's an excellent.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's
okay.
the best. That's the best book or best movie in the series,
Okay,
I
yes,
in my
that's same,
opinion.
same. Okay. I
I
was
I
like,
think
I
are we
everyone's
like
I
throwing
like
best.
shade on this?
I like Return of the Jedi more, but
Mm.
I
um
like Revenge of the Sith the most.
okay, buddy.
Yeah, we
That's
know. Okay.
that's pretty
You
based. That's a good
exactly. You are
movie.
the exact type of person who would like
He's
Revenge
the
of the Sith.
exact Star Wars nerd. And
Yeah,
it's funny
you.
because it's like,
I feel
Actually,
like,
Revenge of the Sith is the best.
yeah.
yeah, Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi are my
It's
favorites.
really the only good prequel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
like parts of the prequels, but that one's like the
I
only
love it
like
when he says, "I
solid
don't
one.
like sand." No, but actually, I'm in there. I think Vin kind of sucks in this book.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
my
she,
biggest
because
I mean,
problem.
she's,
there's a
yeah,
reason that she
I
might be
feel like
frustrating. Like a lot of
I
it's because of our worst favorite character, though.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty tedious to read for sure.
Vin, you and me
Yes,
are
that's,
meant to be
see,
together.
It's so weird
so,
too because it's like I don't know like what it is, but it's just like that classic like every single book ever for some reason has to have a love triangle. And it's one of my like gripes about fantasy because I hate love triangles.
Yeah.
For
This
me,
is
like, that never happens
That's
in
every
real life.
Hallmark
I mean, I know
movie,
it's fiction for a reason, but like
kind
there's
of.
the elements of the characters that we
Honestly,
can relate to or something,
I'm
and it's
in
like, sorry.
I'm in love triangles all the time. I don't know about you.
Well, it's not
Elliot's getting
necessarily like,
around.
oh, this needs to be relatable to me with the love triangle aspect. I'm just saying,
No,
like, there's no like, I don't like, are you kidding me? Like, what person in their, I guess Zane isn't in his right mind, but like, I
well,
just feel like I'm just like, it's hard for me to like visualize that actually happening where someone was dating someone seriously and then
mhm.
another person is like, no, be with me. It's like, no, what is this Hallmark? Like, please get out. You know what
So,
I
yeah.
mean? Like,
yeah.
calm
I
down.
mean,
Can I
I
just give
could
my
see.
short thing?
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
Before we go
Go
on.
ahead.
Oh, yeah, were
I
you
have
gonna say
thoughts.
So I just want to say
Oh my bad.
what?
your
Uh,
rating?
He's talking again.
I think I just want to like give I don't want to like I'll just say my rating. I rated it a
Okay.
3.5 out of 5, like 3 to
Okay.
3.5 to 3 to 4. Um and the reason why I wanted to mention my rating is because of Zen, of
mm.
his it's like his yeah, like I can't because I can't it doesn't come back to it's not coming back to me, but the chapter from his point of view, I remember was just being so weird and out of
Mhm.
focus.
Which
Um
like, is Ruin speaking to him in that pair in that
Yeah,
yeah.
because well, all
is he
right, not to
spiked?
spoil much. Wait, no spoilers
Sorry.
for Elliot. This
What
is
does
getting into
spiked mean?
Hero
Oh,
Rage's stuff.
sorry. I'm like we're gonna
Sorry,
be in really
I
tough
just
Just
territory.
one more week. One more week. You
I'm
guys can hold
sorry.
out.
No, yeah, but
This is
my
torture.
rating is I don't know, like it's hard because it's been a while since I've read it and I was able to read like parts of it, but I just had a really busy week, so I watched like synopsis videos and whatnot. So I'm like it's kind of coming back to me now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I agree with you guys. Like it's definitely a really good middle book. I have a hard time sometimes with sequels.
Mhm.
Like I usually am someone who loves the first book in a series or the last book.
Hmm.
And so generally I feel like the sequels can kind of like not be my favorite. But in this instance, I feel like it's like equal to the Final Empire for me.
Yeah. Like the
Like I feel
Chamber
like
of
all the
Secrets
books.
was not as good as the first one, just like you said. Like
Simon
But I
disagrees.
disagree.
Yeah, we know Simon
well
disagrees, but for me, I feel like for
no
me, they're
like
kind of
but
all in the same like playing field ish.
Yeah,
But
I
sorry,
no, I think that's a good point.
yeah,
Sorry.
like because your rating for last week was like
I
you
think
said it was
everyone had
three,
3 or 3.5.
and then yours is the for Well of Ascension, it's four.
Mine
Yeah,
is
my unpopular opinion is that I think Well Ascension is way better than Final Empire, but
I wouldn't say way better, but I think like parts of it are good. For
yeah.
me, I'm gonna
the
have to go
the
like
first book has to break the ice.
3.25 out of 5.
okay.
Okay, that's fair.
Like let's like use this analogy. Like the first book kind of draws the landscape, draws the setting,
Hmm.
and sets the stage. It's like three acts of three acts. I sound like a Southern person. It's like three acts of a play. You just
Yeah.
the first act
Mhm.
sets
Yeah.
yeah, just introduces
I mean,
characters, the plots, the dilemmas,
Yeah.
everything, and then the second one adds to the story. And
Hmm.
this
it's
definitely did. It added more magic
Hmm.
and it left you on a
And it
cliffhanger. So
it's a little different though, right? Because like in a play, it's all like Lord of the Rings. That's Lord of the Rings is like a play in that way. Because like there's no conclusion really for Fellowship and
Yeah.
2 hours. Kind of just feeds
well,
right
because
into
it
the night. Because it's all
Lord
one
of
book.
yeah,
He just and so there
Yeah.
but
needs to be like a conclusion. But and so I think that's the trouble with middle books. They need to can like hold up to that like 3 act play. I think that's yeah, it needs to like be setting up the third book, but then it
Hmm.
also needs to have a good conclusion to where like this book
Yeah.
stands up on its own.
and it needs to have a good
yeah,
story. So a lot of the pros and cons of having this three-act structure, especially in a trilogy, because it's very clear in a trilogy, because you have the first book,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
second book, the third
Exactly.
book.
Yeah.
And the great things, the very promising, or like, how do I phrase this? The sequels can be so good or so bad because the first book spends so much time setting up the world and setting up the story that once you get
Exactly.
into the second book, you're familiar with the characters, the magic, the world, and so you can either hit the ground running and just keep going, or it
Yeah.
can just stall out in the middle because he runs out of, or the author might just like start running out of ideas, or the editing was rough in the middle, or whatever. A lot of different reasons. And I think Well of Ascension, just because of the plot, what the plot was, I think it provided a lot of great story elements, and it
Yeah.
had a lot of forward momentum, and it felt complete.
I agree. I have a lot of things to say about it. Like, I have a lot of like things that I'm noticing reading it for the second time, so I'll probably save those for later within like the plot and character stuff. But yeah, overall, I really do like it. I think it's like you said, it's a very strong sequel. It doesn't feel like you're just reading it to get to the next book. I think with a lot of books, it can feel that way where you're just like, okay, like I just want to get to the end because I know that there's another book that I have to read after this type thing. So yeah, I think yeah, he does a good job with that for sure.
Okay, going back to you guys said, this is kind of just a small comment. You guys were like
Okay.
saying it was hard to spoil books, like spoil the third one. I remember when I first read it, I was listening to a podcast review, and there was like three
Oh,
or four times because it was two people, and one of them had read the full trilogy, and one of them was reading it
okay.
for and they had to bleep him out like three times because he spoiled stuff.
Because it's so relevant to
Yeah.
everything that happens in the first two books, is it completely recontextualizes
I'm really
the whole
interested in
thing.
what this twist is. Because if it's good, it probably will put Mistborn like above Stormlight for me.
Really? I don't think it's gonna do that.
I don't if it's good enough.
I
I
will
mean,
say that
all
the
seven
ending,
books together is really good. I think that the first three books were really good for me when I first read them. And then once I started Alloy of Law, it made me love them even more.
Mm.
Like,
I
that's
mean,
for
you
me.
you remember the ending of a book better than the middle.
and I
Yeah.
will say the ending of Hero of Ages is one of his best uh
Oh, yeah.
third acts
That's
in any of
why
his books. He's
that's why
great.
It could
when
have.
the
Sorry.
sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
You go ahead first.
Okay. It just was like, it could have, like, actually, I forgot what I was gonna say. So never mind. Go ahead.
That's why When the Truth sucks so much because it's an ending and it just leaves a fat like if it
Flat,
was like if book
flat
four
slender.
what if it was like book four or three that sucked, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's the I mean it's not the ending of the series. There's five
I
more, but
mean,
it's the
yeah.
ending of Arrow
Like,
One, so it puts
Like
such a bad taste in your
he
mouth.
oh,
promised such a strong
100%.
conclusion. So like
Yeah.
like Rhythm of War was slower, and a lot
Mhm.
of people were able to forgive it because it's like, oh, it's a middle series out of 10, and there's
Yeah.
still a lot of great stuff in it.
Yeah,
But
Rhythm
Wind
of
and
War
Truth,
is leagues ahead.
It's like infuriating because you're like, there's so many different ways you could have gone with this. Like, why? Like, why would you
and
do this?
the
This
thing
is
is with
ridiculous.
Wind and Truth, not to okay, well we have to have some slander every episode,
Every
but
episode, it's
Three,
yeah,
required. Yeah.
the thing about Wind and Truth is that it does, at least in my opinion, the actual ending is really good. It's just
Mhm.
like the 1,000 pages getting up to the Sander Lanch.
I know.
By the time
Like,
we hit the Sander Lanch, I felt so exhausted.
me
I just
too.
wanted to be done.
yeah.
I was like trying to like get through that last part. And I just remember
Actually,
being like, why are we doing more like flashbacks and why are we like just like roaming around more? Like
Yeah.
you need to get to the point at this point. Yeah, it needed to be 1,000 pages less, I agree.
I think,
If you
but
got,
it's kind of a like a sad thing and a good thing because like this is kind of Brandon's wake up call. But like, why did it have to be such an important book to be his wake?
I hope it's his wake up call.
I certainly hope it is.
Well, he's taking a hiatus, so he clearly he
He's
knows he needs to do
I think
something.
he's 4% on Ghost Bloods.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually really excited for the new Mistborn trilogy.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Well, okay. I hope the Ghost Bloods are more interesting.
I'm like, it's very funny. When I was in like middle school, if you'd asked me my favorite author, it would have been Brandon Sanderson, like
Same.
because I loved his stuff so much, even like into high school. And it's like now it's like because I've read so many books and I've had experiences with a lot of other books, it's like I know he's not like the best author, obviously, like ever, but it's kind of sad because it's like I still like have this like nostalgia for his stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
like I'm definitely going into like thinking about it with more like not trepidation, like that's kind of too strong a word, but like just kind of more like, okay, like we'll see, what he does.
You have
But it's
Wheel
kind
of
of
Time
sad.
syndrome.
Like, what?
You have Wheel of Time syndrome where like you it sometimes it's really good, sometimes it sucks, but you love it
Yeah,
either way.
exactly. It's just like I wish that I didn't have to like have that. I wish I could just be like, oh yeah, it's still really great. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I think we should move back to Well of Ascension.
Oh yeah, and then
Oh,
Elliot, what was your rating again?
oh, I didn't
Oh,
know
I
you.
give it 3 out of 5.
3?
Have we all given our rating?
Jonas, did you give your rating?
3.5 out of 5.
Okay, so 4 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5,
Wow.
Lowest
3.25 out of
rating, which
5.
was mine, was 3.25, which
No,
really
mine
isn't bad
was
at all.
lowest. I had 3.
I
I thought you
mean,
had three.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
I thought
you're
you
like mine
right.
at
said 3.5.
I can't do math either,
3.75
guys.
because it was still good.
Ellie, I swore you said.
My
I could have
mother
sworn you
requests
said
my presence
3.5.
Nope,
feedback.
Yeah, me too.
you would be
I'm,
swearing falsely.
I'm pretty. You're gonna
Well,
be.
I
Okay.
Where did
definitely
Jonas
agree
Editing.
with
go?
you as well.
Editing. Elliot, tell me if you're gonna be
Yeah,
editing
editing
this, and
Elliot.
you're gonna see that you
All
said
right,
3.5, and
I'm gonna
And the
I'm
timestamp's gonna say Elliot is a big liar.
no. All right, right
no,
now.
Elliot the gaslighter, because he's like.
That's true. He's gaslighting too.
No, right now, in 5 seconds, I'm gonna cut to myself editing, and I'm gonna be laughing it up because I was right.
No, you're not. No, you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna watch it. He's gonna see that he said 3.5.
Um, so I did say 3.5. Um, I was wrong. Um, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for my confidence. I'm sorry that I just have confidence in myself. I'm sorry I feel good about myself and I feel good about my memory. And I'm sorry that I do have a good memory and that it fails me so often, so little that when it does fail me, I deny it. But you could call a fault, and I guess I have a fault. I'm too smart because when I'm not smart, I fall. So sorry.
Out of 5. And
And
then
then
he's gonna take that part out and be like, guys, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh no!
So it never existed either
this is
way.
no, it's perfect
Wow.
because I'm gonna you were talking, so it'll just cut off from you and it'll be me laughing.
Okay.
Where did Jonas
Wait.
go? We were talking over him.
He probably went to go blow his nose or rub
Okay.
coffee.
He's probably like sulking because like we
Guys,
kept
wait,
cutting
let's all
him off on
disappear.
accident.
That's just the way of the Zoom, man. We should all hide, and when he comes back, he'll be.
Oh yeah. Well, he could just be in the room blowing his nose.
Oh, Jonas, can you hear us?
We'll never know.
Okay, let's do it anyway.
Okay.
Wait, what are we doing? Oh, we're hiding.
Huh? Are we, what's going on?
Okay, we're on a time crunch. I think we should move on.
Okay,
What's
sounds
going
good.
on?
We were
What are
trying
you
to
guys
prank
doing?
you, but then it lasted way too long. I was like, what are they doing down there? Like,
I was
yeah.
just sitting there.
I was just.
I,
Jonas, that was
yeah,
I don't.
that was such
my,
a
I don't know if that was the best prank.
that was actually such a lame prank.
Because you were like, huh, what's going on? And then you didn't say anything else.
He
Yeah.
didn't even show up. Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I guess we're doing this.
Yeah.
And they were like, what do we do now?
No, let me say something before we move on to characters that's about the book.
Okay, we're ready.
So something interesting about this book is that this was actually the first book Brandon Sanderson conceptualized when he was like right thinking or like when he was planning the series. So he wanted to tell this story of Well of Ascension about a bunch of people who were trying to like build up the or like build or like rebuild an empire after overthrowing the ruler. but he realized like, oh wait, I can't start here. So he went back all the way to the beginning of the Final Empire, and that's where and he started writing that. But I just think it's
which
interesting
was a
that
good
this is
book in itself.
Oh,
yeah,
so the
and
Final
that
Empire wasn't supposed to exist.
Crazy.
I know yeah, it's crazy, but
It
it's
was like,
also the perfect move as an author because when
mhm,
you're not that I'm like a writer, but I've listened to a lot of writers speak, and if you're
mhm.
like having to include so much backstory that
Yeah,
it's becoming like redundant, then that's the point where you're like, oh, where you have to like realize that you should start the first book with all that backstory.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
exactly. Which is probably why. Sorry,
High
go.
IQ move there.
I vote we just sit in silence for the rest of the episode.
what?
Okay, well, anyway, characters, or no, world building.
Sir,
World
Do we
we
build.
talk
can't.
about that, or do we spend a lot of time on?
World building.
So he
I guess we could
introduces.
talk about like Duralumin and like the
Yeah,
co-ops and Chandra.
I know. So an important
He
part
imi-
of a
he
sequel.
introduces homology.
Yeah.
Important part of a sequel is like introducing new aspects to like expanding the world. Th-
Hmm.
So I think he does that good here. He expands like um we learn more about what are they called?
Colos. Oh, never mind. Well,
The Contra?
The Khandra, yeah. We learn more about the Khandra.
Yep. And we know
This
Orseer is actually Tensoon.
or see.
Tensu. Yeah. Sorry, I just corrected you and I was like, yeah, it's dumb.
Actually,
Tenson. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Tensoon.
hmm
I
That's
said Tensoon,
guys, I've
but
got a
you
joke.
said
also,
Orseer.
I,
What do you call a 9-year-old whose birthday's in a week? 10 soon.
It
um,
was really funny because you came up with it in 0.3 seconds. Sorry, world building. Yeah.
no, I don't have
Chandra?
any.
Something?
Chandra Kolos. We learned
Yeah.
so much about the Kolos.
Hmm.
They were basically not in the first book. And when I
Yeah.
first read Well of Ascension, I had no idea what they were. I don't even know
Were
if
we supposed to
it.
know of them in the Final
I
Empire?
don't think. I don't think
I
so.
don't think we were either.
What are
But
Khandra?
no,
No,
Sorry.
Kolos.
Olaf.
What are those? Sorry.
Are you serious? They're the blue. They're the blue things.
The blue
Blue
thingies.
creatures.
The big blue guys that Yas
Oh, I'm
like
so
meeting or
dude,
whatever.
I
Like
literally
manipulates them.
eliminated them from my memory.
They're
See,
like
that's
one of
Um,
the
the
most
thing.
important parts of this book.
I
Yeah.
forgot about that part.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
forgot
crux
about it
of
too.
the three
Really?
armies.
Yeah, and then I was
I
Cola.
like, wait,
thought
Yasties, that sounds familiar. Oh, duh. Last
I
book.
thought
Ellen's
the
friend.
yeah well sorry the scene where we first see the Koloss
Mm-hmm.
when like Sazed is traveling around and he sees like this Koloss army is
Uh-huh.
one of the most vivid scenes in my mind of all of the whole
Mm.
trilogy. I just
Yeah.
remember when I think we were on like a road trip and I was reading that for the first time. It's like what the heck are those? Because they're described
Yeah.
so it's so creepy, like the way the skin is too loose or too tight.
That is
But yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I love the Colossus as one of the inventions of this book.
they're very I'm trying to because I've read the first 200 pages of Hero of Ages, so I'm trying to remember what's Well of Ascension and what's Hero of Ages. Is it I'll cut this out. Is it in
Jonas, it is Yasties. That's how Michael Kramer pronounces it. It's the J is a Y.
yeah, it's like Yasna.
He's
Oh,
Oh,
is
okay.
Yastis their friend?
me
Yastes.
in a
It's
private chat.
Yastes.
Yasties.
Yastes.
More like
Yeah.
y Yapsties. Sorry.
Wait, what was that supposed to like?
What
Like
was
he's
the joke
yapping all the
there?
time. I don't know. Does he yap?
Not really.
Ellen, more like
I
Yaplin.
think, bro,
Yaplin.
he's gonna name his kid like he's gonna name his kid like Yona instead of Jonah. Just like, everything single thing is
No,
just
literally,
why.
Jesus.
this guy, this like a Hebrew professor at a seminary near us, we're like friends with their family, and he was pronouncing Jonas's name Jonas. He literally thought that's how you pronounce his name.
That's
And so
amazing.
they were like, and Jonas's friend was like, Dad, why are you pronouncing it like that? And he was like, because I thought it was like how you pronounce it. And he was like, no, it's just Jonas.
That's funny.
There's a character named Jonas in a Gene Wolfe book.
And in
Sorry.
The Giver.
Oh. We'll get
Ooh.
if when we read Book of the New Sun, Jonas will have his counterpart.
There's also a guy named Jonas in a firefighter in 9/11.
And there's a guy named
Sorry, I had to
Jonas
say that.
in a band
That's
called Jonas
My Name
Yeah.
is Jonas.
There's
That's their
actually three
theme
of them in
song.
the band.
Yeah. And they have another brother, the
In
hidden
what
Jonas.
band? In
The
Weezer?
Jonas Brothers.
Oh, they're all named Jonas. Oh, that's their
Yeah.
last name.
Yeah.
I remember, I thought I told you guys this. Whenever I have to get someone to spell my name, I just say Jonas as in Jonas Brothers,
You
Uh-huh.
did tell us that.
Yeah.
like Starbucks people.
Starbucks people. They're
My
like
name is
their own
Jonas.
group.
Starbucks. It's like a
Their own
religion.
species.
Also, can
Okay.
we just put the
It
trope
is.
that the survivor is so weird? Like it really
Yeah, it
shows
is
how kind
weird.
of stupid the Scar.
Well, but it's also I
Oh,
don't well I'm not I don't know how realistically
Sorry.
it's done, but I think it's so cool how I think it's so interesting how he like builds a religion or like we see the genesis of a
Yeah.
religion in the
I
series.
mean, it's just hard for me to like believe though because I'm like
Yeah.
it feels very forced and it's like
Hmm.
these like it kind of feels like those crazy guys on Facebook that are like, "Did you hear this thing? It's so crazy. Like this is what's gonna happen. I saw this thing."
it
And it's like, "No, you
Yeah.
didn't like are you kidding me?"
it
Like,
Well, no.
it does kind of make them feel dumb
Uh,
because like
yeah. It like puts them down, I
it's
feel like.
like
well, but
Hmm.
Orseer
And
appearing
Vin
to
was like,
people as
"Ellen,
Kelsier
you're
made
the
them
Scar
even
exactly like
worse,
us."
didn't?
Oh
uh,
yeah, yeah. Didn't Orsier eat or take on his bones? So they were
yeah
like
that
Yeah,
all
he
like,
that's
oh,
like
basically
he's came back alive.
that's what made it worse. That's not like
Yeah.
that's like the whole thing
they're
No,
with
not
but
stupid
Vin.
Kelsier
people, they're just
commanded
very
Orsier to do that.
superstitious people.
Yeah, like they were already superstitious, so Kelsier was playing on that by doing the whole martyr bit.
I
And then in
Was
this,
his
He
sorry.
wasn't he
was
wasn't
his
he wasn't planning on
yes,
them.
he did. He commanded him
was he
to.
planning them to make a religion or was he just trying to rally
Yeah,
them
a
to be
church of
He was
good?
trying
survivor.
to be a martyr because he knew they
Yeah.
would rise up and try to
But
fight
not
I thought
they
the.
he would
didn't.
be a martyr of freedom, not a martyr of the
I
church of
just
survivor.
Yeah, he's just a martyr of
No,
freedom. He wasn't
yeah,
I don't
but
think he
like,
was planning.
but in the Final Empire, they specifically, and the beginning of this book, they talked about how like Kelsier specifically asked him to take on his bones and go like talk to people so that they would like rise up and like come get over their fear of like the Inquisitors
Yeah,
and everything.
but I don't think his plan was like for him to become like a god in a religion.
We're gonna get powers, guys, if we follow Kelsier.
But
Yeah, it just
yeah,
it kind of
but
like it puts them down. Like I just think it's so interesting how like we're trying to build up this whole idea in the first book that the Ska are the same as the noblemen. And like not
and then
necessarily the same, but like they're trying to give that energy, if you will. Maybe they're not exactly outright saying that. And then in this book, like when we have the scenes of like Ellen's like court or like I don't know what you want to call it, like where he's like all like
mhm,
talking to them and they're trying to figure out the
his House of
proposal.
Nobles.
And it's like these people who are like supposed to be like representing different, parts of the dominance for the ska are just like so dumb. And it's like it's kind of unfortunate because you're like they really aren't the same, not because like not necessarily in value, but like obviously they're all like equal in value, but like as far as like, knowledge and like background goes, like the ska don't have like any formal education. Most of them don't know how to read. Like so it's like we need to like there was so many things that could have gone way better. I mean, obviously they know that and there was like limited resources, but like it was kind of frustrating for me to read that and I just was like and Elland is equally incapable because he's been taught to like not even look at them his whole life. So it's like it's
Hmm.
just kind of one big
Yeah,
mess.
I think yeah, when you bringing that up, them like I mean you could I think it'd be realistic because like Jonas said Kelsier had Orsier like eat his bones and become him and like appear to them. And like I could
Yeah.
totally see how like a religion could spread from that, but I feel like it being so big, like
Yeah.
it's like
Well,
the what's the kingdom called?
Central dominance or Luthadel.
Yeah, Luthadel or whatever, like becoming its main religion. And that's
It,
like it's
I
how
so
long has it been since the first book?
a
a
year.
year.
A year, yeah.
In
In a
1 year.
year.
Yeah.
Becoming like as big as like Mormonism, as big as Mormonism in a
Yeah.
year. That's unrealistic.
Well, well, we're only
What do
seeing
you
in
guys think
Luth.
about my?
Well,
It's only in Luthadel, yeah.
yeah,
which is
Because
and
like
What do you
outside of
guys think
can
Luthadel,
about? Okay.
that's like
go ahead, Simon.
I have two things to say about the Church of the Survivor. The first thing is I think it's well, I'm not like a scholar of like religion, of different world religions, so I don't know too much. But I feel it feels realistic to me that so many of these Ska who have only known the Lord Ruler their whole lives and like never expected anything better than just like the
Yeah,
oppression that they lived through, when something does happen like this and they see like a figure like Kelsier, it's very realistic and natural for humans to like put their faith on like a figurehead, whether that can be for good or for ill.
yeah,
And when they see like someone like Kelsier, I think it makes sense for them to like um almost worship him in a way. And I do think they obviously did go way too far with it, but it feels I don't know, it feels natural for at least to me. And I will say there's one part of the twist in Hero of Ages does lend to the spread of the not to get too much spoilers, but it does lend to the spread of the religion more and more. But
mhm.
we'll talk about that more next book,
here
I
I have a
guess.
quote from David Foster Wallace.
Hmm.
There is no such thing as not worshiping. Everyone worships. The only choice we get is what to worship.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I definitely think it's true. I think too, like Simon was saying, like they've been under this oppression for like 1,000 years. So even like their great grandpa or like someone that may have like lived like I because like there wasn't anyone alive at this point that like they that would have been before the Lord Ruler, you know? And
Yeah.
so like it just is something where they've literally known nothing different. So then like you have some people gravitating to the Church of the Survivor, and then the people on the outside with like, says that is in these villages, and they're like mad at him for teaching them how to like be functioning
Mm.
humans in society. And they're like, why did the Lord Ruler abandon us? And it was like literally,
Yeah.
it felt so much to me like like in Exodus when the Israelites are like in the desert and they're like, what we had in Egypt was way better than this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
That's
I'm
probably
like,
what he's playing off of.
yeah, like did you just have amnesia? Like you
Well,
literally were barely getting food.
did
Your
did the
kids were just
people
taken from you. Like what
did
are
the
you
people
talking about?
worship Moses? Or I think the people worshipped
No,
one of the
because they
leaders
had
at least. Like at
They
least
didn't. They were just mad because they were like, Moses, did you bring us
I
Egypt?
guess I guess I'm thinking of Paul and Peter.
What?
I guess I'm thinking of Paul and Peter.
did they worship Paul and Peter?
Um,
Yeah, because
I
they
don't
could
necessarily
heal.
think what
Yeah, they could
in like
they could
Acts.
heal. Yeah, and he rebuked them for it in Acts.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm talking about like in the Old Testament specifically. I just immediately thought of that where it was like because they weren't worshiping Sazed either.
So we were talking about religion and how the people like made the religion of the Church of the Survivor.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, it's not a one-to-one by any means, but it reminded me in Hawaiian history when their ancient taboo system or of like it was their religion, they worshipped these different Hawaiian gods and they had like a tapu system or sorry, taboo system, which was like different cultural restrictions and customs that they adhered to strictly to the pain of death, actually. It's kind of savage in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
in the last couple hundreds of years, and by that I mean like late 1700s, early 1800s, that system was actually slowly like dying. And by the time the first missionaries came and the first people were coming to Hawaii, it basically had died out completely in like a civil war. And so when the missionaries came, they came to this people who were like stripped of their religion and had like were kind of like lost in that way.
Hmm.
And so when they saw this new religion, Christianity, they just like locked onto it and it became like the religion of the state. And in some ways that reminded me of the Ska as they had the Lord Ruler, which was their god, stripped away
Hmm.
from them and this new answer came to was like presented
Yeah.
in front of them. And so that's not the same at all, but there's some similarities, I feel like.
Yeah.
in.
No, yeah, I definitely think that was, yeah, very well put. Yeah, like you said, like they kind of just had it taken away from them, so there was really no other option for them. And like Elliot said with his quote, like they were just looking for something, especially like in Luthadel. Like I'm imagining like a city that's similar to like New York or like something where it's like extremely densely populated and like there's like so many like I don't know, like different things, and they're just kind of like I don't know where I was going with this,
What
but
if
like
all Sorry. What if
what?
all Luthadelians had like New York accents? They're
Oh
like,
my gosh.
"Hey, I'm walking here." That's the only New York thing I know.
Yeah, but I just was thinking like
I'm a
it,
misling.
it would be maybe like something that I think what I was trying to say is like it would be something that was maybe like divisive where they were just kind of all in their own like sectors and then this was something that was bringing them together. I don't know. But it's also interesting that is it did we say it was Demu is how you pronounce it or Demo?
Demo.
I think
Demo.
that's. I think yeah, demo.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
it's interesting how he isn't he kind of like spearheading a lot of that.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, that's
Which,
interesting.
like, I guess kind of makes sense with his experience with Kelsier, where he was, like, empowered, when in reality, it was just him, Kelsier, like, manipulating their weapons, not necessarily giving them powers. So do you think that definitely played into him wanting to be a part of that and kind of, like, lead a lot of it? Or do you think he just was kind of just, like, along for the ride?
Kelsey is pretty egotistical.
Yeah, he is.
I don't think he.
That's what
I
they criticized him on. But
I
Well,
don't know if he.
actually,
I don't know if he intended to create a religion.
yeah, I
No,
don't
I
think
I
that
don't
was
know.
mean,
his
I don't know if
intent.
he would. I don't know if he would be too terribly disappointed either.
Oh
If all those
I
man,
people
they're
were worshiping him.
worshiping me like a god. Darn it.
Well, I was saying with Demo, like, what do you think his
Oh,
motivation
sorry.
for it was? Like, because he was in that fight originally in that like cafeteria where Kelsier had like manipulated um his weapons against that guy, and it was like a really unlikely fight, and Demo like almost died in the last book. And so like I'm wondering if that's like motivated him to be like, well, I like have experienced firsthand like these really great benefits of like being a part of this. And so he was like just kind of latched on to the religion because of that, or do you think he just was kind of like, I don't know, just like joining up with it because it was like something that was new? I mean, he's like what, 17 in the book or something?
Wait, is he?
Oh, I didn't know he was.
I didn't know he was
I
that
didn't know he was
young.
that young.
I thought he
I
was
thought
really young.
maybe he is. I always pictured him as older, but let me. Okay,
Jonas,
I'm gonna look at the
I'm gonna put
Coppermind.
you.
Wait, if I'm right, this means that this is one thing that I knew that Simon didn't.
No,
This I want to be right so bad.
the most in his early 20s. So
Haha.
What if I was closer than you were?
I
he's pretty young.
I would have said
They
I
said
thought
that
he
in the
was
first
like
book.
30. So we
Oh, I
were
thought you were
both.
thinking like 40. Because
Oh,
the way
Remember
they
when
picture
Kelsier
him in
pushed the
Final
swords and
Empire
everything?
is
what?
very
Go ahead, Esther.
sorry, I just need this moment to write. Um so I was like when they were explaining it, the way that like Michael Kramer also did his voice was like definitely more like high pitched and like
Hmm.
and so the voice he did was like a little bit more high pitched, and then Hammond like makes a remark of like yeah, this is like the youngest guy in the camp or something, but he's very determined and he's like kind of like
Oh,
wiry, like doesn't have a lot of muscle, like that kind of stuff. Which is obviously then when we encountered Demo like later on, spoiler by the way, as like a world hopper,
yeah,
he is definitely different and
yeah,
more
for
self.
sure.
Anyway,
Okay, I think we should move on because we
hey
have
guys,
to move on.
yeah, we have to move on.
Okay,
So characters, right? Is that next?
Characters.
characters.
We kind of started talking about
Character.
characters.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
well,
kind
I
of
have
did.
some things to say about.
And I have some things
All
to
right.
say about Vin.
Sorry, Jonas, I just saw your message.
Yeah,
Um,
he was mewing earlier.
No,
Wait, what? What?
so he texted me. He says,
No.
he said I made a
it's
joke
inside.
about.
It's inside.
He said I made a joke about how Elliot doesn't need to know Hispanic girls, which is why I said he knows Hawaiian girls, insinuating that he's a rizzler.
It's
It's
the
it's half the
insinuating.
joke, but it's like half how Jonas explains it.
I mean, as long as you're like over 6'4". I'm
I'm
joking.
I'm 6 feet tall.
There's no way. How old are you?
I'm 15.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm gonna grow
Yeah, you'll
more.
probably be taller than me then,
How
because
No,
tall are
you
you,
probably
Jonas?
will. You have at least 5 more years of growing.
Jonas, how tall are you?
oh, like barely, yeah, barely 6'1", six. I'm like 6 foot.
Oh wow, you're
Like
taller than I thought you were.
I've always
Yeah,
imagined you as like
he
a
is like
5'4" kind of
doubled in
guy.
size
Even
since he
though
got
I've
to his
Wow.
even though I've like met
well,
he
I'm
was
No,
three
he
imagining
times
hasn't
last
gotten
time.
fatter. He's gotten taller.
He's
me.
doubled he's doubled
No,
the
I said
size, you
you.
guys.
No, he works out a lot. So yeah,
Oh,
She
Jonas,
said she said you're
I
very
wasn't
big.
she
listening.
called you
I
fat,
said you like
Jonas.
doubled in size, meaning you've grown so much and you've been to
Jonas,
the gym a lot. And I was like, well, I didn't
He's
mean
gained
fatter.
he's gained so
Well, I
much
don't
weight.
care about that. I mean,
Jonas,
Yeah.
no,
No, yeah.
yeah.
Jonas
So all
was
I'm
six
saying
feet last time we
is
saw
that
him.
I'm I'm probably going to be end up being barely 6'1" by the
I
time I
think
get to
we
college,
think
like
Isaac's
by the
gonna
time I
be
finish
taller
college.
because Isaac's taller than me. He's like five.
He's always been in the 90th percentile for height
Yeah.
and 20th percentile for weight or
Yeah.
30th percentile for weight.
Yeah.
He's always
How tall?
like,
So,
yeah.
because I've literally been like 5'6" and 3/4" since like sixth grade, so that's really cool. But
So
I've
that's
always been in like
you were the
55th
tall
percentile
girl,
for
and
height,
yeah,
then
so
everyone else started getting taller and
yeah.
taller.
Because everyone's like, well,
Yeah.
she's gonna
although
keep growing. I mean, she's gonna be like 6'2", and then I just never grew anymore. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
apparently the
was
average height as a 16-year-old is 5'8", and I'm like 5'11" or 6 foot. So
yeah,
Five
yeah, I
eight,
was five I was like 5'7" or 5'8" in like seventh grade, and I've grown
yeah.
like 2 inches
and he's
since
still
then.
5'8".
No,
I
Slander.
yeah,
no,
I
hey,
was
for the record, let's set the record straight. I'm 5'10", which is
Okay, yeah,
above
that's
average.
shorty.
yeah, 5'9" is
Um,
the average for a guy in
I think
America.
that's crazy.
Oh, it is the average? I thought it was above that. Wait, let me look this up.
wait.
Five
So
nine is the average,
tall.
so 5'10" is
How
above.
tall? Because your
I'm
dad, he's kind of tall,
He's
right?
5'11".
Okay. So
he's
then,
5'11".
why is Elliot so tall then?
No one
I'm
knows.
not that tall. I'm only 6 feet tall.
But you're young. But you're young though, so I feel like
I
that's
think
why.
Yeah.
my dad got big young too. Like he grew tall
Oh,
early
yeah,
too.
that makes sense. Okay, that's cool.
All right, should we talk about the characters?
Oh yeah, characters.
Yeah.
Oh, can
Is
I
it
go on a Vin rant?
Yeah, go on a Vin rant. It's welcome because I kind of need to go on one too.
Honestly,
Stretching.
all right, we'll see how this goes.
All
I have
right.
like 7 sections saved of
I have
stuff
thoughts
tweeted
of
about
Vin
it.
too.
Okay, so Vin sucks. And I'll tell you why. Here's why
Let's
Vin
hear it.
sucks. Actually, she doesn't suck, but here's why. Here's why she's kind of okay. So in the last book, her whole deal was kind of like this, like like she was like in this like noble world, right? And she's like with all these high class people, and she's like kind of enjoying herself, but then she's also like, oh, these are horrible people. And then in the last book, she learns they get fallen in love and
They
happy.
get fallen in love.
And then
Who
in
gets
this
fallen
next
in love,
book,
Elliot?
who? Oh, Vin and
Yeah,
Ellen.
you just said they fall in love. Okay, yeah, Vin and Ellen. Yes.
And in this next book, her whole thing is like the same. It's different a little bit because she's like wondering like, am I right for this world? Like, should I be
Very
just
pick me
like
thought.
a rogue girl boss? And the whole time for me, I was just like, shut up. Are you an idiot? Like, this is
She
dumb
is.
thoughts to have. Like, obviously, are you
He's
dumb?
abused, so she
And
probably,
then,
yeah.
like, Zane comes and she's like, and he's like, I love you, Vin. Vin, you're the one for me.
Even though I
And
almost killed you.
I'm basically Ellen.
I'm like his half brother, so that means it's the same thing.
Yeah, we're half the same person. But, and
Just
then she's
DNA.
like, maybe I'll pick you. And then we're like, what the heck? Why would you even consider Zane?
I
He's like
know.
a creepy guy. He's like
It's
the
like, sorry.
he's like the 40-year-old guy who's like, hey, what's up? To like
I don't think that is exact.
She's
I think
also, yeah,
she's edgy.
She's 18, but it's still weird. I don't think anyone who's 18 should be dating a 40-year-old.
How old is Finn?
He's not 40.
He's
He's like
not 40,
22.
but
Oh,
it's
but
He's
still
like
he's
the
the
same
same.
age as Ellen.
Wait. Oh, so they were like born the same time, but like different moms.
they're
Yeah.
twins.
Yeah. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
They're stepbrothers.
They're not twins.
That'd be kind of sick,
Elliot's like
actually.
his mind's blown. He's like, wait a second. I thought they were actually the same person basically the whole time.
That shatters my universe.
Actually?
No, I didn't think that.
That was a quote.
I was quoting him. Have you guys seen Hot Rod?
No.
Oh my
No.
gosh.
I'm sorry.
You guys should watch Hot Rod.
Here's the thing. I'm like really bad at being like a well-versed person in films. So you're just gonna have to be that's just who I am.
Can I say something? I want to
just
make a
did.
joke. My pastor made this joke. I don't know if it's appropriate to make it too.
Well, I'm sure it is if your pastor made the joke.
Okay,
Our pastors are kind of.
I'm gonna say it's got a bad word in it, but not that bad of a word. But like
Your pastor said a bad
Gordon-
word in the pulpit. That's hilarious.
Our pastors say
he's hilarious.
He's like I'm a cool pastor.
He's a cool pastor. I'm gonna.
We'll just cut it. You can just cut this part out.
Yeah, just
Okay.
cut it out. We
Oh,
don't
You're
care
having
if you say a
you're
bad
giving me a lot
word.
of anxiety for what you're about to say.
I'm like,
You're like,
I say like
I'm like, what is he about to say?
I say like a racial slur.
Oh no.
No,
I was like, that's
I'm not
not
gonna No. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say this as nicely
Just
as I
say
can.
it.
But what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, no, that's okay, that's not even that bad. I thought you were about to
I'm
like
sorry.
drop an F-bomb or something.
I think we should leave that in.
I'm sorry. I totally killed the joke.
You were just like, it's like this like word.
It's super bad. You guys don't want to hear
I
it.
can say it. He's like, do you like hyperventilating?
Like I'm about to drop an F-bomb.
I don't think I have the pass.
What? What?
Sorry.
Bonus. Bonus.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so characters continued.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
Okay,
Cut that
hey,
out.
Esther,
No,
do you wanna,
Jonas, we're leaving that in.
Esther, do you want to go on your rant about
Oh yeah,
Finn?
go on
How
your
to be
big rant.
canceled.
I say my
rant
thoughts.
was basically similar stuff, and a lot of it actually has to do with prose because this really isn't Vin's
Okay.
fault. It's how Brandon is writing some of these things. I actually have something to say about prose for once. That's not just like Brandon's prose kind of through like looking through a window, like
Yeah.
looking through not a clear window or whatever you guys say. Yeah, I definitely think that back to my thing about love triangles, which is related to characters, it's just something that really infuriates me because it feels like kind of forced. I don't know, like it's just I've never really had a good experience reading any love triangle. I just don't feel like they're very well written because it's just you see this obvious connection between characters. Like I feel like maybe the one exception to that, spoiler by the way for people who haven't read Stormlight, is like Shalyn, Kaladin, and Adeline. Like I feel like that was more fleshed out, so you were kind of like, oh, like I could see this go either way because, you know, they might have worked together. And I see a lot of people on like Reddit or otherwise that are like, no, Shalyn and Kaladin still would have been better together or whatever. Obviously, I think he and WaT, like that was a good ending for him. Like I don't think that he should have been with her. Anyway, back to
What do you think about Scylladen? Sorry.
Oh, we don't have to.
That's
talk about
weird.
That's
She's
just like that
That's
feels
like-
incestuous.
I agree. It's like his sister.
Have you guys heard my incest theory?
No.
I don't want to. I already had enough trauma from that first joke that you.
Can I go on my Vin?
Wait, what? Did I
Can
make an
share my
incest
Vin
joke?
thoughts?
What?
Oh.
Did I make an incest joke?
No, I just thought it was like you're just like, you want to hear my incest theory? I was like,
I actually have Simon can go in his Vin rant and then I'll share my incest theory because
Well,
I think
okay.
it's
Let
not
me finish really
weird.
quick.
Sorry, yeah.
So essentially, I just feel like but in like I feel like every other time that I've read a love triangles, this is definitely more of a subjective opinion. It's just like, oh my gosh, are we like the character is so stupid. And like I agree, like yeah, everyone's gonna have those moments of like insecurity and like Vin is no exception to that because she has been very oppressed throughout her life. She's constantly had these thoughts of like what Reem is kind of telling her in the back of her mind, or thoughts of like, well, Ellen's like nobility, so like I guess that means I'm worthless. Like that kind of stuff just has been like ingrained in her forever. But it's just so stupid because you're like, are you actually thinking about going with Zane? Like, I just feel like that's not who Vin's character is. Like, we've built this backbone of her being this, becoming this super loyal character, and she like will do anything for Ellen. In fact, she's like, in the last part of Final Empire, she's like, "Oh my gosh, Sazed, we have to go back for Ellen. Like, I love him so much. Like, I love him more than this world." And then it's like, no, you're not actually thinking about going to him. Like, I mean, to Zane. Like, are you kidding? Like, this doesn't feel like it's actual Vin in this book. I feel like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like the same character. So, like, I get it's
Yeah,
definitely like just my take on that, but I just don't feel like that was like very well explained. Anyway, go
yeah, she was ever since like Kelsier died, she just kind of like wanted to find any guy that was just gonna give her like tens, like a bunch of protective
yeah.
attention,
And her whole thing
attention.
of like, well, I mean, he's like a Mistborn, so like he might understand me. It's so stupid because it's like, are you kidding me? Like Ellen literally sits there and like he does so many great things for you and
But
like
then,
listens to you and reassures you and like it's just like and he's not using you. Are you kidding me? Like
wait,
about this logically,
is
please.
this? I'm sorry. Does Ellen? Is it revealed that becomes a Mistborn at the beginning of Hero Ages or at the end of Well of Ascension?
At the end of Well
The
of
end.
Ascension.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
So
sorry.
I can say this.
My
What
bit
I
is malfunctioning.
so and Ellen does become a Mistborn
Yeah.
because and also I don't like that. I
Why?
don't
Really?
I
Why?
don't like that because I feel like the whole thing was like he doesn't need to be a Mistborn for them
Yes.
to like for them
Yeah,
to
what is it with like his whole it feels like very like similar to like Adolin too, where like another spoiler,
yeah.
I guess.
It's
Where it's like,
just Shallan and Adolin do it
yeah.
better. That
Yes.
like Vin and I feel like every single one of Brandon Sanderson's like romance characters are just like working up to Shallan and Adolin, and
I know.
Shallan and Adolin are just
I think
perfect.
everything else was working up to that.
Yeah, because
Well,
I
you guys haven't read Wax and Steris.
Oh
Well,
my
at
God.
least Elliot hasn't.
I love them. Oh my.
They are so adorable. They're my
I
favorite
know.
Cosmere
They
couple.
are they are definitely the like I actually
It's my
I
favorite. Yeah, they're
Simon,
like Betis.
like
Yeah,
Yeah.
he really
didn't
did
didn't
well.
I text that? Oh, I said
Even
Ellen
my
and Vin.
dad, when he read that, was
he
like,
like
Simon,
Yeah.
this is actually really good, which is
It's really
funny.
funny because when I was originally rereading this, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love Ellen and Vin." And then I got into this book and I was like, "What was I thinking?" Like, I'm so stupid. Sorry.
all
So you
right.
can
On the topic of romance, can I please explain my incest theory?
Oh my gosh.
Go
This is
ahead.
It's not that bad. It's just a
it's
joke.
Okay.
no, I
Okay.
actually genuinely believe it's true.
Okay, never mind. It's a lot worse than I thought.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to be quite clear. I'm going to lay down some ground rules before I share this. Number one, I do not think incest is good. I do not think it's right. I do believe incest is wrong. Number two, I'm not necessitating. All right, well, first I'll explain. My theory is that every good story includes incest. And this
What?
is, I'm not, this is, now I want to be very careful with my words. I'm not saying that a story must include incest to be good. I'm just saying that almost every good story I've like of the best stories I've read include incest.
What are you reading?
All right,
That's such a good question.
I've
That's a
read
perfect
or
response.
my
what?
top five favorite books do not include any of
What are
things.
your top five favorite books?
Jane Eyre.
I haven't read that. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no incest in it. Probably Way of Kings. Probably Educated by Tara Westover. Actually, her brother does abuse her, so I don't know if that counts.
Like,
No, not like that, but just
oh,
like
okay. No,
yeah.
that's just hitting someone. That's
Yeah.
not incest.
Okay, well, it's still like horrible.
But okay,
That's
but
just hitting her.
let me just name off a couple of books with
It's
incest.
just hitting.
Harry Potter, the Bible, Lord of the Rings slash The Hobbit.
What are you talking
There's
about?
not actually incest in Lord of the Rings and The
Yes,
Hobbit.
there is. The hobbits are
From
deeply
what?
incestuous people. Also,
No, they're not.
The
Eowyn
who?
and Aragorn are kind of like siblings.
No, they're
No,
not.
they're
They were
not.
raised together. Anywho,
Arwen?
Oh,
No, they were not like
sorry, Arwen.
siblings.
Did I
It
say
was
Eowyn?
very clear that they were not.
But the hobbits are still really incestual.
Just because you're raised with someone, like, in
Sorry.
fact, that actually makes it so that they would be
Okay,
more
sorry.
so.
That's a bad example. I'm sorry. That's not true. But
What was your other one?
the hobbits are really incestuous. Um,
Don't they kind of have to
Star
be though?
Wars. I need to write these down actually. Star
Star Wars,
Wars.
they didn't know. It was an accident.
Yeah, but it's still kind of incestual.
it's kind of weird that George Lucas included that though.
I know. I think
Like,
Um,
that was a choice from him.
a lot of
yeah.
the Gene Wolfe books have incest. Some of them.
And I
Dune.
But why does the author, like, what does that add to the story?
It doesn't add anything.
Exactly. Sorry.
he makes it good.
It makes it
Like,
good.
personally, I mean,
Anne of Green Gables.
since
What?
when?
Later in the series.
Okay, wait.
Can
Which
we,
one?
guys? Elliot. We have to start. We have to talk about Well of Ascension.
Oh yeah. I need to make a
Can I
list.
go at my?
I
Can
need
I
to
talk
write
about
down a
Why
Vin
did
list.
you
now?
think Anne of Green Gables had it?
Because it does. I think it's
No,
in
it
book
doesn't.
5 or 4.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
No,
Have
it
you read the whole
doesn't.
series?
Yes.
There's a part where I think it's in the fourth one. There's like that family that rules the town, and she
Anne
finds out
or
that
Diana?
what?
Anne finds someone attractive that she's related to?
No, 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 no. It's just I'll exp I can't
It's
remember.
it's not Anne, Esther. Anne's
Anne
straight.
isn't incestual. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Can
Um,
I talk
Incestual
about Vin
means you
now?
like your brother or sister, not that you're gay.
I mean, come on, the teacher was pretty weird. So what else was that author else gonna do, you
That's
know?
not incestuous though. That's just like
being gay isn't incestuous, Jonas.
No, no, the teacher
What?
who's a
teacher was
child
a
predator.
yes.
Wait,
That's
what?
pedophilia. That's not
He
Yes.
was.
incest.
Yeah, that's
And
bad
in the
though, just like
first book,
incestuality.
is it,
Yeah,
it's
but they're
Oh
not.
yeah, I
They're
remember
Percy
now.
Andrews. The
So,
Yeah,
teacher has a
the
but he
crush
has
on him
that
since
he
he's
has
like
that set
14.
limit that he can go to. So, and I think he could
He's
go to
like Leo
incest if he
DiCaprio,
wanted.
just like a little farther back.
Who?
Oh my gosh.
Narnia.
Can I talk about Vin now?
Yeah, okay, go.
Narnia?
Start talking over him. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, okay, now I forgot what I was
The
gonna say.
Space
Can this help?
Trilogy.
No, no, I was gonna defend Vin. I was
Oh,
actually
okay,
gonna
go
defend
ahead.
Vin. Uh,
Defend
so
her honor.
okay,
Okay.
I think Vin's development in this book is great. I think it. She go so her major arc in this book and the last book is kind of discovering herself, which is extremely cliche and generic.
Yeah.
But she has this push and pull, which is kind of funny.
Oh my
No pun
gosh,
intended.
push and pull. No, I'm kidding.
In herself,
Haha.
where she likes or sorry, she was raised or like she grew up as an urchin. She grew up in this life of a very difficult life, and she had to learn a lot of difficult life skills. But once she joins Kelsey's crew and starts going to the balls, she discovers this different side of her that likes the balls, that likes I don't know, that likes that side of the nobility, and likes displaying herself in a lot of like she discovers she likes
To a
dresses,
Mockingbird.
and so she has this push and pull in herself where
Yeah.
she thinks that she can't be both of these people, that
Mhm.
likes to be a Mistborn, that likes to, basically be like a vigilante, but also she likes Elend. She likes to go to the balls with Elend, and she has this difficulty of like combining these two aspects of herself, like and accepting them. But in this book, she okay. I need another minute to get my thoughts straight about this. How do I say
What about
this?
you?
Okay, Vin doesn't suck, even though I didn't say she was very good last week.
You're like last week, you're like, she sucks. And I was like, no, she's great. Everyone else thought she was bad. So she likes being a vigilante. She has a really hard time creating her personalities. She feels like Ellen going to these balls with Ellen is like a different
Oh,
identity.
okay. All right, I got it back. I'm back on that train. So
Okay.
we're swerving down. We're gonna take a left. Okay. So when she meets Zane, Zane starts kind of getting in her head and telling her that everyone is just using her as a Mistborn and that her worth is basically founded in just being a Mistborn.
Mhm.
And while I agree with you guys that she was being very stupid to believe him, I think it's very easy for her to believe him because she's had trust issues her whole life. And so when he plants that seed of doubt in her mind, it's hard for her to like shake it off. And I remember a lot of scenes where like Ellen would be just basically so nice to her and kind to her, but she would just be like, "Well, you just want to use me basically," or like you. And there's the whole theme in this book of her and Zane being the nobility's knife, and all there are is a knife to them, and they're a
Yeah.
tool. And so that's one of Zane's biggest like selling points to Vin is that we got to run away because they're just going to use us all our whole lives and basically keep us in a cage. And
Mhm.
so Vin's arc in this book is learning that no, that's not. Yes, they are a weapon in a way, but they're not a tool, and they're like they have their own choices, but they also have a very special ability that no one else has, and so they're useful to people. But it should not be something like I think it says at some point, what do you use a knife for if not to cut with it? Or like what do you if not to, use it?
Um,
You got to use it. And
Yeah.
so part of
Protect
Vin's arc
yourself.
in this book was accepting that she can be a Mistborn, but she can also like dresses, she can also like balls, and she can also like Elend, and
Yeah.
that Zane is wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was very
Yeah.
clear.
I think that was like a way more eloquent version of like and also defending Vin than like what I was trying to say. I just feel like it was like for me, I just had this frustration with her and I totally agree with everything you said. And obviously like we see even more of her development in the next book. But yeah, it's just frustrating because you as like the reader are just sitting there like I know like obviously like it's also like someone on the outside like if your friend is going through something like similar where they're like, "Oh, I just feel like X, Y, or Z," and then you're like, "Well, I'm telling you, like that's stupid. Like you should just stop thinking that." But it's not that
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
for sure.
Does anyone have anything else? Also,
about
can you nail down exactly? Wait, which characters died again?
Clubs,
Doxin,
Clubs,
Clubs,
Doxin,
Doxin, Tindwill,
Zane,
and well, yes,
Zane
Zane.
died.
Dane, obviously,
Hallelujah. Sorry.
and Strap.
Venture.
Yeah,
Yes,
Venture.
Giraffe Venture. That was
Venture
the
and
best.
his
That was
horse.
such a great, yeah,
Yeah,
such a great scene.
yeah,
It just felt so good. I don't know.
yeah. He's just like a horrible person.
Yeah, it's
Jonas,
just
do you
like
want to talk about your like one gripe you had we were talking about earlier?
Sorry, is everything frozen for you guys?
You're good.
no, we're good.
Can you see us
Yeah.
now?
Uh, no, but it's fine. So I wouldn't say that you can see me, by the way, right?
Yeah, we can hear and see you. You're good.
Okay. So I would say my one gripe is about characters is probably about Hammond.
Mm.
I said, I said, what value does Hammond add to the story? Like, what does he actually contribute? Um, I said, Breeze talks about the decision to, not contend. Like, I don't know why Brandon chose to like contradict this statement, but in the first one, he said Breeze chose to not soothe people's emotions when it was important. Yeah, Vin was like, and Vin felt Breeze's subtle emotions,
Yeah. Oh my
subtle
gosh.
touch
I have
on
something
her
to say about
thing,
that.
and
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's contradictory. But that's important because that introduces the morals about when do you use your powers, when you don't. How do you interact with that? And all Hammond does is literally watch. Let me show you. This is all Hammond adds to the thing. I'll show you this one clip. Ready? Get this. Oh, Kel's here. Is everything good? Okay. We got the army ready. Okay. Great. Let's go.
But hey, he brings up moral dilemmas,
Okay.
Not
And then
really.
second, peeks his head around the
but
door.
they're like
Hey,
I'm
Breeze.
14 and deep.
Is
No, roll
someone
your
is
sleeves
water
up so that it's
wet?
more believable.
Yeah,
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 he
roll your
never wears a
sleeves.
Oh,
shirt.
is water
is
wet? Yeah.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
water
Exactly. Yeah.
Is water
is
wet?
water wet?
Screenshot
This
that
is a
quick.
screenshot. This is
No.
going on to Insta.
is what, yeah.
Did you get
It's
it?
just like,
You
No,
didn't get. Oh,
I
you
can
just
get
get it
it.
during the recording.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
we have the
recorded,
recording.
Jonas.
like, he just, and if he was funny, like, Spook doesn't really add to the story
Yes, he
as, like,
does.
yes, he
and
does.
Spook is my favorite character, but we'll
he,
talk about him
no,
next week.
Fun.
he's not like
Do you guys
Kelsier,
wait?
though.
Do you
He's
guys
not a
think
main
He's
that
so
character.
To
awesome.
me, we
Brandon
don't like
clearly
Kelsier.
he had like Spook's silly accent, and then he's like, okay, this
But
guy's becoming a main
Spook's
character.
funny.
Let's
You guys
just
all
get rid of
say
this
this
accent.
because he's actually funny and he's likable and he's not stupid anymore,
Spook is me for
right?
real.
Right?
Well,
So
But Hammond, if he was funny, we would all like him too, but we don't. He's not funny.
yeah, yeah, you're
So
right.
Nor is he smart.
it's empty space to me. You're just wasting it.
He's not deep, funny, and they remark that he's not even a good general. So what's the
Hammond.
point?
No,
Yeah.
and Doxson has no powers, yet he's still adds to the story with his
Yeah, Doxson
stuff
does
about
add.
with Ska, life on plantation
Oh, okay.
farm stuff.
So back to the breeze part. I just found what I was looking for.
Anyway,
So the
yeah,
breeze thing that Jonas mentioned, something that was um interesting. Wait, okay, wait. I might have forgot my train of thought. Let me like read it and see if it comes back. So it's like the part where Vin just saved Breeze by using Duralumin, and they all come back to like the thing, and they're all talking, and they're like, oh, like how did Set find out you were a spy? All this kind of stuff, and then he's like, and then Breeze and Hammond are like having their usual like cheesy jokes and whatnot, and uh. And so then she said, Breeze continued his story, and Vin looked back at him, smiling. Not only was Breeze a natural orator, but he had a very subtle touch with allomancy. She could barely feel his fingers on her emotions. Once she had found his intrusions offensive, but she was growing to understand that touching people's emotions was simply a part of who Breeze was. Just as a beautiful woman demanded attention by virtue of her face and figure, Breeze drew it by near unconscious use of his powers. Of course, that didn't make him any less a scoundrel. Getting others to do as he wished was one of Breeze's main occupations. Finn just no longer resented him for using allomancy to do it. And I don't know, like to me, like, and I guess I didn't read the full book exactly, so did we talk about how like Breeze ended up changing that position where he was like, did we say that he ended up changing that where he was like, okay, like I'm not going to use it in important situations or something? Or did I miss
I
that?
thought in the first book he was like, now Vin, let's I'm Kelsier
Yeah.
said that. Kelsier said,
Yeah.
don't soothe people's emotions. Marsh was
Because
like, stop doing that.
it's something where I
Yeah.
was just like sitting there and I just was like, are we really like gonna take like is that actually like a good approach? Because just because it's a part of who you are, you're just gonna like be like, okay, well I just always touch people's emotions. That's just what I do. I don't know.
So
Like
I love Breeze a lot.
yeah.
I think he's a great character, and I think I took it more as he's not gonna like make you think a certain way. He's more gonna give you that extra lift when you need it. Like if
Okay.
you that extra bit of confidence you need to
Mhm.
like pass the job interview or like that kind of thing. That's the way
Yeah.
I took it.
Yeah. That's
But
fair. That's fair.
but
Okay, well that makes sense. Do we have anything else to say about characters?
I
What do you?
I guess we
I'm
didn't
Groot.
talk about Ellen, but we could talk about Ellen next week,
Oh,
I
I like
guess.
I like what
Yeah, we'll
Ellen
talk about
does
Ellen
in
next.
here.
Yeah.
I like kind of like how Tyndale comes in and she's like, "Well, Pam, you need to be a better ruler."
I love his development. And so
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
it's great, but yeah,
Much
we can talk
needed.
about that next week, as he becomes
Mhm.
a ruthless emperor. But
What?
Yeah. He becomes
that was
like
his
Lord
whole
Ruler
arc
part
in
two.
this book.
Yeah, he becomes the Lord Ruler
But
part
like,
two.
He killed his
bro,
best friend at the end.
Yeah.
Yastes?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve's, yeah.
But like, he had to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He becomes a ruthless emperor.
Jonas, are you
In his
okay?
own religion, in his own
Jonas
form of
is
government.
laughing at an inside joke right now that he shouldn't be laughing at.
I was just gonna say, I think the plot is one of the biggest parts of why this book works for me.
Uh-huh.
I love the siege and the standoff. It's the tension as the tension builds throughout the book. It just I don't know. It feels so perfect, and I
Mhm.
love how there'd be like another army showed up, and then another army showed up,
I
and then
know.
another
It's
army
such
showed
a
up,
well-written
and
battle
it's
sequence.
just like the tension is so palpable, and I love the like just like the different armies and the like. There's a
Mhm.
Colas one, but Jastes is an idiot and he doesn't know how to run Colas, so they're
Yeah.
like killing a bunch of people. But
Yeah.
like also, and then I love how Elend is like trying to like make alliances with his father and stuff, but like he's like learning how to be a ruler. And I also love um the whole plot with Ellen becoming a king, and then like his whole thing where he's like, we need to have a parliament, we need to have
Yeah,
a house of the people, like we need to have
yeah,
a common or like a yeah House of Representatives basically.
yeah.
And I love him being um deposed by his own law. I think that's so like
And the
ironic in
fact
a
that
way.
he's so honorable about it all is like really telling.
And
And
then
Vin's like, why don't you kill them all?
Yeah, she's kind of like, well, you can just like, you're king, you can do it. And he's like, that's not the point.
yeah,
It's just
so
like, yeah, yeah.
I
And then
just
Jonas,
found
and they're like, why did Sazed call her a genius?
I just
yeah,
found the best review of this book ever. We'll get to it in a couple
Okay,
minutes.
okay.
sounds good.
uh
We have
and
to see this, yes.
this isn't I guess a part of the plot, but one of the craziest scenes is when Vin goes through like Set's army, or like what, I don't even remember. Vin goes to Set's like camp or something and
Uh,
kills like hundreds of his people. And
I know.
and then I don't know if this is the same scene or not. No, it was this is when what this is one of the like election scenes. But like I think Vin headbutts a dude and he explodes. Do you guys remember that? She literally
That's
like,
really crazy.
and
Wait,
she does it right in front of Ellen. And Ellen's like, "Oh my gosh, I knew you killed people, but I've never seen it."
No, yeah. And
So
then she's like, oh my gosh, Ellen like doesn't look at me the same. I'm like, I wouldn't look at anyone the same after that.
you
Like
like
that's
brutally
actually
murder
insane.
someone?
I'd be
I
like,
was just
so
like
honey.
messing around.
Yeah, no, literally. I'm just like,
Please forgive
no.
me.
Yeah. I promise I won't do that to anyone on accident. It's like, uh-huh,
I
yeah.
promise I won't brutally murder anyone again.
I promise.
I don't think she promised that.
She didn't promise that, but she's like,
Yeah,
what? This is what I do. It's my job.
it's just my
Like,
job,
no.
honey. I'm just like your knife.
It's no. Sorry, I just had I had a thought. It's like the Lord Ruler at home is like Ben. We have the Lord Ruler at home. Ben is over there. Sorry, we
I
can.
don't get it.
You
I
know
feel
how
like the
there's
No,
like,
I get it. I get it.
oh, okay, sorry.
I read the Well of Ascension during COVID, and I felt like that was a book that you could do because they're all trapped in the city and they can't do anything about
Oh
it.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's funny.
Okay.
all right, Cosmere
Moving on.
connections.
Wait, no, emotional impact.
Yeah, emotional impact. Elliot tries to skip this every week, I swear. He's always like, I wasn't emotionally impacted by anything. Moving on.
I don't feel anything. Joke's on you guys.
I've actually never cried, so joke's on you guys. What
I've
are
never
emo
felt
what are emotions but figments of our imagination?
Emotion is just chemicals in your brain.
that's something Hammond would
Ew.
say.
That's something.
What?
What?
That's something Hammond would say.
Don't.
I know, yeah.
He'd be like,
He's like,
"What
I have no
are
reason to feel
emotions?"
emotion. Like, miss my wife. I don't care. It's fine.
Doesn't Hammond have like a whole family too?
That's
I thought
okay.
that
That
was
was my other point about characters. Sorry. Were you gonna say something?
oh, I thought that was Dachshund, but I guess it
No,
might have
No,
that's
been
yeah,
Hammond.
Dachshund, remember his like girlfriend person was taken and killed by the Lord that was there. Lord
Oh,
Trust,
you're right.
not Lord Trusting, somebody else. But
Yeah.
and essentially with the whole Hammond thing, Jonas and I were talking about this yesterday, and I was like, what would make Hammond's character, because Jonas like his character like adds nothing. And I was like, what would be helpful is if they actually showed like either like just like a chapter or like Hammond maybe actually I think a chapter would be cooler from Hammond's perspective when he's visiting his family or if he was able to. And just to be like, this is the cost of what it looks like to be within the rebellion as a normal person that isn't a crazy, guy like
Yeah.
Kelsier or Vin or someone that's a part of the nobility. Like, because Doxson doesn't really have anything to lose outside of like Luthadel in that way. So it's like, I mean, besides like his friends, obviously. So it's like it'd be cool to see like this is the price of like what we're doing, and like this is actually something that's like affects other people outside of ourselves. Because I feel like a lot of times, like, I feel like maybe the first example that comes to mind is like the Avengers or something, where they were kind of just like, yeah, well, we just kind of like destroy the city as we're saving it, but that's just like what happens. And then like in Age of Ultron, they're like, take them down because like we don't want them to be helping us at all, and like they're leaving all this mess behind, and it's like. I feel like on a smaller scale, it's like, yeah, like this is affecting other people outside of just this. Like, I don't know. I feel like that would have been cool if
Hmm.
they'd added that, but that would have been probably a lot more, um, time that Brandon probably didn't have. Anyway, sorry, that
Yeah,
was just random.
yeah.
Yeah, emotional impact, anyone?
Okay, so Cosmere connection.
Did you
Um,
guys feel emotionally impacted by this
honest.
book?
I mean, on some levels, it's hard because I didn't fully reread it. I remember the first time I read it, I was very much affected by the last scene with Elend and Vin because I actually thought Elend was gonna die because I'm not like every other Cosmere person and can just predict when people are or aren't gonna die. So I was genuinely like, oh my gosh, like this is horrible. Like, we've worked up to this point where Elend and Vin are like together and then they're not gonna be. But then obviously he's fine. But outside of that, I think yeah, like it was definitely surprising with some of the other character deaths, like the first time I was reading it. But like as far as like outside of like maybe sadness from character deaths or possible character deaths, not a ton.
I think it's, at least for me, it was kind of, I probably felt a lot more emotions the first time I read it because when you're like rereading it, you know
Yeah.
everything's gonna happen. But it
Mhm.
is sad reading
Yeah.
the scenes where Sazed and Tindwyl are like studying, like
Yes.
researching together, and they're like so perfect for each other.
Oh, I
But it's
know.
just like, I don't know, that's kind of sad.
He robbed
And
us so
when
much for.
and when Sazed um just finds Tindwyl's death, and he like thinks to himself, "I'll never believe again." That was pretty
Oh
sad.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's so devastating too because you're like you see sat like everyone looks to say that as like this like vault of like when I have problems like I'll go to him and he can like answer my questions for me. And then it's like he's losing faith in his own beliefs, and so that kind of like demantles all of that and like takes away kind of part of his personality, which is sad. But yeah.
Trying to find the quote, but
Um, this book taught me that I should stop being such a knife and be more girly, I guess.
hmm. Ooh, wait,
So
can I
this is
read?
why Elliot's going to a gala next weekend.
Yep.
He's getting a dress.
Can I read the line I was talking about when
Oh
Sazed
yeah.
like after he finds Tinwell?
Uh-huh.
Um, the Ska
I
called Sazed
think,
holy. Oh, sorry.
sorry, go ahead, sorry.
The Ska called Sazed holy, but at that moment he realized that he was the most profane of men. He was a creature who knew 300 religions, yet had faith in none of them. So when his tears fell and nearly began to freeze to his face, they gave him as little comfort as his religions. He moaned, leaning against the frozen corpse. My
Mhm.
life, he thought, has been a sham. That's kind of tough. I don't know.
Honestly, one of the best written parts of the book, or maybe
Yeah,
the
that was beautifully written, I feel like.
I
I don't
think
know.
Sazed, the real hero
he
here,
really Brandon does come
he's the
through
real
on a lot of that
character.
throughout his book, but it's not wholly that way, which is sad as far as the
Yeah.
pro is concerned.
Yeah. We'll talk about Sazed's character next book a lot more because
Yeah, he's
of,
a big part of it.
yeah. All
Okay.
right. We can probably.
Okay. Prose and Jonas, did you have any moral dilemmas you wanted to discuss that were legitimate?
Yes, yeah, I know. Other than should you
I just
introduce,
said that because that's one of your segments that you like.
other than should you introduce characters that will broaden your audience and shrink at the same time?
What?
To
What?
I can't hear you.
should you introduce characters into your audience that have a love line, like a love story and all this stuff, in order for you to get a certain audience,
Oh, are
to
you
get more
like,
money, to get more
I see what you mean.
stuff,
Oh, okay.
No.
to have gay people in
Wait,
Should
that's
when
the
you?
was
moral
there gay
dilemma.
Wait,
people
there's
in
no
this
one
book?
gay in this.
No, but in Stormlight, as an author,
Oh my
like
gosh,
that's
more
the
WaT slander.
Wat
breaking the
slander.
fourth wall.
Uh,
Um,
Yeah, yeah. I think if it's like written into that time like not time period, but like universe, then probably, but no, yeah, but with Prose, I feel like it got to the point where like I was continually like, okay, Vin's rolling her eyes again, we get the point, or like stuff like that. And that's just like definitely more nitpicky, but the first part of the book to me
Uh-oh.
talked about. Like the first book should be, as far as like world building and whatnot, you should be explaining all of the basic stuff. Like we spent the whole book understanding allomancy, and like to me, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of pushing and pulling and soothing, like all this stuff. Like we know which metals are associated with it. Every single time he mentions what action they're doing, he mentions what metal they're doing. And so then when he's like continually mentioning like, oh, and then Vin burned pewter, which blah 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 does this. And then Vin burned iron, which blah 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 does this. And then Hammond, who is a thug, which is also known as someone who burns pewter, which is also known as someone who can get really strong. I was like, we already know all of that. You know, like that just was something that was annoying for me.
Ah,
We had literally had just
Yeah.
remember that. And I feel like if
Yeah.
as like an kind of like, we've heard from other people, and I guess Elliot talked about this a lot, where it's like the telling instead of showing. And so it's like that to me, it was like too much, where I was like, at this point, if you're reading the second book and you don't know what pewter, brass,
don't
steel, and like iron are,
think
like you should just go look them up. Like if you don't know.
there's an Ars
Yeah.
Arcanum for a reason.
Yeah, there's a whole book about it, and in the back of the books he talks about it, and you can go to 17 Starred Coppermind, BrandonSanderson.com. You can go to all those websites and figure it out. So it's really not that, like you don't
You don't
need to
need
take
to,
like
yeah.
an
And
almost Tolkien approach, which I didn't
also,
think was necessary for this book.
if you're like a reader who, if you're like, if you hear like, oh, just look at Covermind, and you think to yourself, well, I shouldn't need any other outside sources. You're right. But also, are you really the kind of reader that cares too
No.
much, like, about like, just go with the scene. It doesn't really matter
Yeah.
too much, like,
Because
in the grip.
I remember when we like dove into, or when I dove into like Stormlight for the first time, and I was like, do I know what Seth's lash to the ceiling means? No, but I'm just going with it because he's on the
Don't
ceiling
don't,
somehow. You know what
don't
I mean?
Yeah.
don't the worst thing you can do is treat your reader like they're dumb. Like
Yeah.
you have to explain everything.
Which he
That's why
doesn't
I
do
love
all the
he
most of the
doesn't do
time.
it most of the
No,
time.
but it was so weird to me that it was so weird to me over there. It was so weird to me that in this book he was doing that because I was like, wait, I do not remember Brandon doing that. And it was kind of on steroids because oh, I see, yeah. Because I was listening to the book, so then I was
Oh,
also particularly like, and then Vin did this, which takes this metal, and then this metal is used, and then Breeze, who's a soother, who also burns this metal, I think brass, and then he
yeah.
does that because he's really good at it. I don't know if you know, but he has a really subtle touch with allomancy, and I just was like, yes, like that's like his character, you know?
Yeah.
So that to me was like my gripe about that, but it's like obviously I still love the book, but like I just was like, why did he start doing that in this book? I don't know if his editor was like, you got to remind the readers in the first part why they're doing
Wa-
that or what happened,
Was
but
it just the first part or the whole book?
I can look through. I think like
I
there
do
was
re
sorry.
Sorry, I do remember when I was first reading Well of Ascension. I remember it was like, so okay, I had a weird experience with the first book. I started in like, I think probably like just January and finished it in like June of that year. So
Oh
I had a
wow.
very disjointed experience with the first book the first time I read it. And so with the second book, I was really glad in the beginning when he like took some time to explain the metals a little bit, like, but like once you're like 300, 400 pages into the book, he should not, you should not be like
No.
still explaining the metals, like what
You
each
really
metal
shouldn't.
does.
I mean,
So,
it's like I think for some people, like they might find it helpful, like especially for a first time reader. But like you were saying, like if you're really needing to like continue, like have everything catered to you, like in this book, just like completely set out, so you don't have to do any work, you maybe aren't the pe person who should be
yeah.
reading fantasy. And
And
yeah,
This is why I love Gene Wolfe so much. I mean, it's fine if you
I'm
don't.
excited to
Gene
see.
Wolfe is like the exact opposite. He will tell you
I, bet-
nothing. And
I
like
bet you
if
guys will,
you
it'd
might
be
hate
so
him.
funny if you guys hate it. You're
You
like, this is the
might.
Oh,
worst book
really?
ever.
I don't think
No, I don't know, but
I
it'd be
don't see
funny.
you hating him, but I could see you being like, this isn't for me. And
Okay. Now I'm
I
determined to prove you wrong. I'm actually gonna lie about my opinion. I'm gonna be like, this is the best book I've read
that's
because
exactly what I
I'm
wanted.
such like a I'm so determined to like
And then
prove you wrong.
you'll say it so much that eventually it will become true,
Yeah.
and it will be
Yeah,
your favorite
eventually
book.
I'll just convince
Gene
myself.
Wolfe
Yeah.
books are hard though. They're a real puzzler. I'm
Um,
Okay, well I hopefully I'm up for the challenge. I guess we'll see. Like this is a good example of what I was talking about. So this is chapter 2. We're jumped right in. We're set right into the action. She's has those 7 um Allomancers from Set's army that are coming to try to kill Elend. So she's like, without coins of her own, she couldn't attack from a distance. However, if this was a good team, then attacking from a distance would be pointless. Their coin shots and lurchers would be ready to deal with shot coins. Fleeing wasn't an option. These men hadn't come for her alone. If she fled, they'd continue on to reach their goal. And it's like you literally just said the same thing 8 different ways in like a small paragraph when it could have been one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So too much content. Like I
Yeah.
think content and prose are opposites because too much content
Yeah.
limits like too much of one thing can eliminate some of the pro. Like you can have good content and
Yeah.
good prose, but like you can see here there's no content in that sentence. It's just really empty. There's
And
Mm.
these
nothing really
like
being told to you.
4 sentences that I just read. Oh, for a whole paragraph before that, we're talking about the coin shots and her coin pouch and how they're pulling on the coin pouch and what she's gonna do with the coins. And then we get another paragraph talking about why she's
Mm.
gonna do what she's gonna do with the coins. And then in
It's
the
like
previous
anime.
page, it's like allomantic metals flaring in her. Oh, sorry, Vin spun into a low crouch, hands and feet on the cool stones. Allomantic metal flaring in her stomach. She burned steel, watching the translucent blue lines appear around her. She waited tense, watching for another group of coins shot from the dark mist, each one trailing a blue line. It's like, yes, we know the blue lines are going to be there. And I'm just confused why we have. And then she's like, yeah, then she flared this metal and was pushing against the coins. It's just like, I don't know. To me, I just was like, why is he doing this in this one book? Like, this is not normally what, irks me about his writing. But
Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of those problems, and we'll talk about this when we get to it, but I feel like a lot of those problems are handled really well in The Way of Kings, um,
Yes. He's
which
definitely
doesn't.
grown a lot as an author.
But if there's a graph of like his skill as an author, I would say it goes like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know if that
For
made
sure.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cosmere connections. Um, while you're here, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, leave a like, comment down below.
Like Elliot likes to say, if you have a mom, subscribe.
If you have a
And
mom,
even if you don't, like that'd be pretty
even
sick.
even if you don't, what the heck, man? What happened?
Yeah.
Um,
If you ever felt insecure in your life like Vin, leave a like,
if
please.
you are a woman or if you're related to a woman, you need to subscribe right now. Okay. Um, this is,
Whoa.
are we gonna have spoilers for the Cosmere in this section?
Yeah, probably.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yes, but there's
Get,
Hey,
it's
but before we
It's
go
barely
on,
anything
yeah, there's not a
because
before we
lot.
go
the
on,
list is minuscule in this book.
Yes?
okay, so
Jonas, wait, Jonas
Boyd.
must speak.
Oh,
I wanted to say something. Not only if you are a woman or if you're related to a woman, if you're both, click that like button.
Yeah.
yeah, both and.
Seriously, subscribe for a
And
free
and if you're not a
cookie.
woman, just subscribe even,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what Jonas just
All
said,
right.
but
Cosmere spoilers.
okay.
Go.
Hoyd
So
isn't in this book.
yes, he
No,
is.
he
Yes, he
is in
is.
this book.
He
He is in this
is?
I
book.
thought he wasn't, but he is.
Where is
Yep.
he?
He's the leader, or no, he's the guy that goes up to the terrorist people and like frees them, right?
He
No.
is the Hoyt is leading. I'm getting this from the 17th shard, but
Yeah.
Hoyt is leading the terrorist refugees Ellen and Spook encounter. So
Yes.
Oh, but
I
he's not
didn't know
And
that.
mentioned.
his name is
He's not he's not mentioned by name.
Yeah.
right. So the subreddit theory that I saw was um Hoyd obviously met Kelsier in the Final Empire, and then they say that they think he went off world, but it'd be a spoiler to say why. I mean how. Then back to Scadrial, and then to Terrace to learn Furukami. Um, and so then uh but Brandon had said, I guess this person had a quote from Brandon saying, I knew where Hoyd was and added in the cameo of him with the terrorist people, with the plan still being that he visited
Hmm.
the well sometime during the days after Vin's return to the city. Um, yeah, but I won't say anything more because I don't know if that's gonna
Wait, did
spoil.
Does Elliot know that he visited the well?
Has he read
I'm,
Secret History? No.
Oh, okay. Well,
well, lucky for
I
you,
mean,
I wasn't listening.
well, also,
okay.
it's kind of like how else would he get there, you know? Like
It's fine. Yeah,
how else
how
would he
else
be
would he world
walking?
hop?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
because all
It's
right,
not necessarily a spoiler.
this brings us to the next connection, which is that the Well of Ascension is ba-da-ba-da-ba-bum, a shard pool. So we saw these in
Yeah.
Elantris, and we're seeing them again.
Yep.
So every shard has one.
Yep.
Every shard has one. So we know
And
there's two shards on this
there's
planet. So
there's two shards, right? And
yeah,
so
where's
like
the other one?
uh the other well I know where it is, but
Yeah, I know where it is too, but
we all get to know something that Elliot doesn't. And Elliot's not listening anyway.
I don't think he's
What?
listening at
I'm
all.
sorry.
Yeah, we're spoiling stuff, and he's like, I don't know what's going on.
I'm literally
And
I'm
then obviously we've talked about Mo, who's in
Yeah.
what?
Stormlight
What?
and WaT. Yeah, and WaT. Is he in um I cannot remember what it's called.
I don't know if he's in anything else.
I'm like trying to think, but I don't know.
I just had a thought. The segment's gonna get insane once we get to like Rhythm of
Oh yeah.
War.
Gonna be
Oh, I
like,
know. It's gonna probably be because at that point it's like we wouldn't really need as much of a summary or like how much are you gonna talk about prose for like 100 pages?
Yeah, yeah, we don't need to
You
talk
know?
about prose
we'll
unless
Prose
there's
like
probably
like a
each
certain
section's gonna have more.
if you have we should
unless there's like a passage that really stuck out to you or something like that.
Yeah.
But
all right. Should we move on?
Sure.
All right,
so Esther,
welcome
you
back.
mentioned
Oh,
oh,
Sorry,
you
what?
mentioned maybe saving Goodreads reviews for next week.
Oh, so if Elliot's found something that
I
doesn't
found
have
some good
spoilers
ones.
for Hero of Ages, then that's fine. I
Yeah.
just was
Okay.
like sitting there and I was like, oh, I don't know if people
Th
will spoil
there's a
stuff.
Debbie review.
Oh, okay. Well,
Debbie,
we have
we
to
have
read
to
it.
stay for Debbie's
All right.
review
All right. Welcome back. If
from the
you would
Cosmere's connections.
all right.
Oh, she only gave it 3 stars, which is not bad
No,
for
this
her.
is not the review.
Oh, okay.
This is the review. I'm
Oh,
gonna read this out loud right now. Plot point occurs. Wow, said Ellen. I can't believe that plot point just occurred.
For a
That means
second.
these four explicit things, one, two, three, and four. That means one, two, three, and four won't be far behind, Vin thought uneasily. She smiled at Ellen and felt wishy-washy about her feelings toward him. Ham nodded. Breeze grinned. One, two, three, and four won't be easy, said Zed. Do you remember when X, Y, and Z happened? That explains why four will follow three. Finn wasn't sure if she wanted to wear a dress or pants. It was a big deal to her.
Repeat. No,
Repeat.
that's literally, wait, let's see the comments. I want to see the comments.
this is so I feel like every time we look at negative reviews, it's like we can never like really
No.
argue with
Also
it.
like it because that's a good review. I liked that. That was
Yeah,
funny.
that's funny.
Thank God someone
OMDG,
saw it too. I thought
yes.
I was alone in my hatred. Okay, well, I wouldn't say hatred.
All right, you want to go to
Yeah.
Debbie?
Let's see
All right,
Debbie.
let's go to
Oh,
Debbie.
Debbie.
Oh, it's really short.
Wow, Debbie, we expected more from you, but okay.
All
Oh,
right, I'm just gonna read the
yeah.
full thing out.
What's up
Uh,
with that, Debbie?
this
Yeah,
series,
honestly,
did I do my best Debbie impression?
No, just talk
no.
normally. We don't want to disrespect
All
Debbie
right,
like
I'm
that.
sorry,
This,
Debbie.
okay, I can
I'm
read
sorry
it
for
if you
even.
want to.
I
Wait,
guess
how about we
the
have the
best.
woman?
That's no. I think
Then
a
we have the
man.
women speak. Just
I
like
think
a
a
thought.
man should.
Just like a thought, you
All right,
know?
fine. Women
Okay.
speak. Speak women.
This series is so fantastic. It's so well developed with an intriguing investigation into theology and faith, a sense of duty and honor, and good versus evil. Sanderson does a great job setting up plot twists. He keeps you guessing, and the twists are always shocking, yet make complete sense and have been subtly foreshadowed. Something I noticed in book one was that I couldn't help but continue. Sorry guys, I'm really off today. To pick up in book two is that Sanderson starts a lot of sentences with "and yet." Does not affect my enjoyment, just can't help but notice. Yeah, I think we've talked about similar things of like we noticed I mean I did for sure, talking about like phrases and what. Oh, Petrick, let's read his
Oh yeah,
review.
let's read Petrik's. Also,
Okay.
can I say something about Debbie's
Wow.
quick?
Okay, go ahead.
I think that kind of brings up an interesting thing about just books in general that if you like a book, even if it's bad, if you like a book, some of the like bad stuff won't bother you. But it's
Mhm.
like, I think
Sorry,
that's just a normal thing.
Yeah.
my headphones went out.
Like
Sorry.
I will still 100% like always recommend this book series. I was even thinking about
Mm,
lending it to a friend like
I'm
last week she was looking for a fantasy read and I was like, I don't think you want she's like in her master's program right now. And so I'm like, I don't think
okay.
you can get into Stormlight because that's a lot, but you could definitely do Mistborn.
I'm
Yeah.
literally I'm lending out Mistborn to someone, so
Yeah, yeah. So it's really fun to be able to do that. But yeah, so it's cool, but it's funny because I'm like, yeah, of course I'll recommend that to people, but like I think once you read it multiple times, you can definitely see like the
the
flaws like
problem.
we talked about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't make you love it any less.
And
Okay.
if you love it, then so
I'll
what?
read this review because I'm a
Okay,
man.
that makes
Mm.
sense.
A relatively slow-paced book containing an utterly powerful climax sequence, a spectacular middle book for the Mistborn trilogy. When I first
This is
read The
weird
Well of
because
Ascension,
sorry.
because what?
Patrick has an Asian accent or like a Chinese.
I'm
That's
not gonna do a Chinese accent
yeah,
because
let's not do that. We do not keep
when I
going.
first read The Well of Ascension, my experience dictated that I thoroughly loved it. It's not until later I discovered that apparently a lot of people found this book disappointing. Because of this, I was a bit scared that my reread experience would be ruined. Apparently, there's nothing to worry about. Yes, it's a different kind of book in comparison to the Final Empire, but I honestly don't mind. My overall experience of this reread concludes that my investment with the characters and narrative in The Well of Ascension remains real. I don't care about the picture. The storyline in The Well of Ascension begins a year after the end of. Okay, this is just summary. Um, Sanderson never lets up making sure that the character's motivations ends up in the right development before the final installment of the trilogy. This indeed means there's a lot of talking, contemplation with minimum battle scenes. However, despite all these, was never once bored. Just like Ellen, I lost track of the time. Ellen, I kind of lost track of time. Breeze, for 2 hours? Ellen, there were books involved. I love slow reading paced books. I love reading slow paced books. I think there's a lot of room for excellent characterizations within books that take their time to develop the characters. I agree with that. I like slow books too. And in my opinion, The Well of Ascension delivers on that front greatly. This is especially true for Vin, Ellen, Sazed, and Orosior. He spelled Orosior wrong. I just want that to be known. I know a lot of readers have mentioned that they found the first half of this book novel to be too slow to due to the lack of action sequences. But for me, the mystery, the character developments, the magic system, and the world were more than enough to give me elation. I didn't think the first half of this book was useless at all. It was addictive, and the exploration of leadership, identity, love, and faith was incredibly well written. The slow, intense politic, plus the methodical build-up, truly made the last 100 pages of Cinderland so breathtaking. A man can only lead when others accept him as their leader, and he has only as much authority as his subjects give to him. All the brilliant ideas in the world cannot save your kingdom if no one will listen to them. Does anyone have any thoughts about the review so far?
Oh, you're
I
I don't want to just like read out the review, you
oh.
know?
Yeah. I think it's good. I think he's very well versed. I definitely think like I don't know that I found the first part of it as addictive as maybe he did, but I definitely think it is a good slow build, and I do like that in books as well.
Hmm.
This is the guy who said he likes slow builds anyways.
Yeah.
Well, I like slow builds as well, but I don't know that I was like
And
in.
I think it depends. It depends a lot on what kind of mindset you're in when you read it. Because the first time I read it, I felt the same. I felt kind of addicted to it in the same way
Mhm.
that he's kind of describing. But like when I
Yeah.
last read it, I feel like it wasn't. I don't know. It just yeah. I don't know. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get where he's coming from. Yes.
There was also a magnificent, okay, there was a new metal,
Right, of course. The
expanded
Durrell.
complexity, intricacies, okay. Um,
Um.
The existence of
Durrell.
duralumin made all action sequences, especially at the last 150 pages in the book, imbued with greatness. Some of the action sequences here actually reminded me of the attack actions in Attack on Titan, which means it was brilliant.
Bloody brilliant, as he said.
Mm. Mm.
Get it? Because it's bloody. Like there's blood in it.
Guys, is it bad if I don't remember what beryllium does?
It's the one that makes a super powerful boost.
Yeah.
Like it.
Oh,
You have to
Duraluminum is
burn
what I
it
thought
with
it
another
was.
metal at the same time, and then it like makes that metal run out. very quickly, but you have like a giant burst of power.
All right. That's
I
enough
would
of that.
also like to see, I mean, I think Jonas talked about too, like how sometimes Brandon will write about things that he's not super like uh proficient or knows a lot about. But like it's interesting to me because like a lot of it's kind of like, okay, well that's just like I guess like the answer to that question is like, okay, well it's just like fantasy or it's just like how the world works or something. But like when she's talking about how she literally felt like she heard like the loudest sound she's ever heard when she's using tin and Duralaman for the first time. And she's like, my body feels like it should have this pounding headache and I should be like knocked out and my ears should be bleeding, but I'm not. And so I'm like, well, like
Mm.
what? How does that work on like a physiological level, you know?
Mm. Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's just interesting to think about. But I don't know if Brandon will have an answer for that.
Ooh, could we not go through a very long one again?
Yeah, I don't want to read along. I'm trying to find a like this one kind of have no substance and it literally cuts off. It's unfinished.
Dang.
Um,
I love how the suggested words are chunkster on that one.
Yeah.
wait, what?
What the heck? Let them
Chunks.
Oh my
overhype,
Oh.
gosh.
unfunny, and
Unfunny.
chunkster.
It's funny.
Um,
Zane was horrible. Wait, what were they gonna say?
It's
Zane was horribly wasted potential. He started out well, fell into almost every YA love triangle trope there was, to the detriment of his many actual interesting points.
Yes, I
Yep,
agree
yep,
with that person.
yep,
Yep. It's like
yes,
one of
that's
those
yeah,
things
true.
where
Zane's
like
not a good
I can
character.
see these love triangles coming from a mile away. I mean,
Yeah,
even when I was reading it and it was like that's the one thing I'm good at spotting because I've
yeah,
read so many like of those books and so then it's like I Vin was had her nightly routine with the Watcher and I was like, here we go. You know, like the first time.
yeah.
We was just like, ugh, that's so stupid.
All right.
all right.
Okay, well that was good.
Yeah, I think that's like enough.
Ah. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us in our journey through the Cosmere. The next week, we will be reading the final book of Mistborn Era 1, The Hero of Ages. And
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna actually be reading it because I got like 250
I
pages in
think,
and I quit.
yeah.
I will also be reading it because I
Yeah.
forgot everything that happens.
We'll actually be
I
reading
I'm
it.
will.
actually reading it too. I'm like 250 pages in right now. So
No, we're all actually
And you can find the schedule in the show notes as well as our Instagram at concerning crumblings underscore. And our email address is capital T, thecremlings at gmail.com. We also have a Goodreads account now as well. Our handle is at concerning crumblings. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit, make sure to like
and
this, my cue cards.
you can join our Patreon when I'm kidding. We don't have a Patreon. I
I'm
wish
I
we
was reading the cue cards.
I'm sorry. I'm
hey,
editing.
let's leave the Patreon in so that one day when we do get a
there
Patreon,
we go.
this will
Yeah.
actually be
True.
relevant.
Yeah, and we'll have behind the scenes content
What's
with
Yeah,
behind? There's
and
nothing
great
behind
things.
here.
behind
Um,
It's like, yeah.
more
enormous
more
paywall.
about
There's
yeah,
nothing
we
in
have
here.
more up close shots of Elliot.
You get a daily up
And
close shot of my face.
Yeah, we also have random clips of Jonas's impersonating Shallan's personalities
And Batman.
and Batman and
Well,
hairstyles
he's not impersonating Batman. He
Yeah.
thinks he's Batman.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
also Harry
Oh,
Styles.
Something out the way.
No,
Something in the way.
something.
Sometimes you just like put that
Okay.
music in your headphones and walk around the street and actually think you are Batman. I feel like that's what
Until
that's what
next
you do.
time, life before death.
Strength to our
Strength.
weakness.
Journey before destination.
Unless you're reading what?
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 What? Okay. High pitch.
Yeah.